Roots and Rebellions is reflected in Par Lagerkvist's short story of Father and I chose this story merely for the title, not knowing how I was going to enjoy the reading and not knowing all the interesting facts that I was going to gain from the author that wrote it. Lagerkvist was born in 1891, being in the 18th century where the woman was to be taking care of her household. That explains the beginning of the story of Father and I, where he says that the mother was to stay home preparing dinner while the son and the father would go out to, on a Sunday, to the park and see the woods and be outside. Lagerkvist was raised as a Christian. When he was asked, he would say that he had, in a sarcastic tone, he would say that he had the privilege of being raised in a home where the only two books that were known were the Bible and the Book of Hymns. However, in his teen years, he separated from his Christian beliefs. Curiously enough, in this story of Father and I, he incorporates both of the stages in his life. First, he incorporates when he uses the character of Father, when Father says, not knowing that there is a God, that they could not fear the dark, knowing that there is a God. There, he incorporated his roots and what he grew up as a Christian in his home. But later, in some sentences later, he incorporates when he detached from his Christian beliefs, when the character of the son says that not even what he said about God relieved him from his fear. Par Lagerkvist was his stories, short novels, all of his work became very well known in his 20s, around there. During his 20s was World War I was going on, which is what led him to his main theme was the fight between good and evil, a time of war, why people were dying for no reason, which is also put into the story because at the end of the story of Father and I, you see how he says that the world was not a secure world like his father in the story portrayed to be, that the world was dark, putting into play the good and the evil. Lagerkvist won the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1951, he became known in the U.S. and he won the Nobel Peace Prize for literature and the English translation of Barabbas, which was a novel that he wrote that 11 years later became a movie. And that is my oral presentation for Roots and Rebellions as reflected in Par Lagerkvist, short story Father and I.